Hello everybody, my name is Brianna Bilo and I'm a meteorologist here with the National Weather Service office in Grand Junction, Colorado. And this is your March 2024 monthly climate summary. So starting off for our story of the month, we have In Like a Lion. Although unfortunately March also went out like a lion, so a little non-traditional, but that's okay. The month of March actually kicked off very unsettled. We ended up in some very strong southwest flow ahead of a very potent low pressure system that brought really gusty winds to the area. We had here in Grand Junction, I think we gusted into the 60s at some point. You can see this was our story of the day for that day, just kind of giving everybody a heads up. We had several wind highlights. We had wind advisories and high wind warnings in effect. We also had winter highlights in because as the cold front went through, the winds were supposed to back down, but snow was supposed to occur, bring widespread accumulating snow to the mountains mainly, and then rain in the valleys, except the Grand Valley actually got 3 inches of snow that night, post cold front. I was actually working midnights that night, so when the cold front went through, we were getting reports of like trees down. There was a brush fire down on Horizon Drive here in the Grand Valley. A lot of dust got kicked up. And then behind the cold front, the rain transitioned over to snow, and we actually accumulated 3 inches by daybreak the next morning. All melted while I was asleep. So I got up and went down to get ready for work, and it's snowing again, and we got another 3 inches out of the system. The Grand Valley got 6 inches of snow out of this system alone, and they weren't the only ones. We had feet of snow in the mountains. Other lower elevations saw some accumulating snow as well. This was just a very impressive system and a very impressive way to kick off what kind of became a wet and unsettled and cooler month overall. So moving into our roundup of temperatures, our warmest temperature of the month was 70 degrees set here in Grand Junction on the 21st. And then our coolest high for the month was 53 in Aspen, also on the 21st. You can see that the 30th and kind of that 21st, 22nd period, we had particularly warm weather, not necessarily record setting. We actually didn't set any records this month at all at any of our primary climate sites, but definitely unusual warmth to kind of offset the unusual cool of the month. You don't get this in my little video summary here, but if you go and look at the written summary that is also up, you'll see that actually half of our climate sites ended the month with below average temperatures as far as the mean temperature is concerned. 4 sites came in with above average temperatures, and 1 site, Rifle, actually ended up at exactly average for the mean temperature. And those departures actually weren't even that crazy. I think it was the mean temperature departures ranged from almost 2 degrees below normal to a little over 1 degree above normal, which if you've been watching these for a while and you've been reading those summaries, you'll know that that's actually not too bad. We've definitely had months where our departures have been 6, 7, 8 degrees above normal. So I will take this around about a degree of normal in comparison. So moving to our cold temperatures, the coldest low for the month was 6 degrees in Craig on the 9th. Our warmest low for the month was 25 in Grand Junction, also on the 9th. You can see that most of these were clustered around that 9-10 period, although there's a few exceptions with Montrose on the 3rd and Durango also on the 27th in addition to the 10th. So this was not that first cold front that brought the 6 inches of snow to the Grand Valley, but a second system that moved through the following week brought some very strong cold air into the region. If this had been January, we would have been looking at some substantially negative temperatures here, but it being March, it's a little harder to get quite that cold. But this is still plenty cold for the month of March. Moving on, precipitation. We actually did all right this month, with all of our Colorado climate sites coming in with above normal precipitation for the month of March. Unfortunately, our 2 Utah sites, Canyons and Vernal, did not do quite as well. Although Canyonlands was within about 1/10 of normal, so I'll take it. But so our big winner was again Meeker, followed by Craig, with Meeker ending the month with just about 1.9 inches of precipitation total and a little over 8/10 above normal, followed by Craig with 6/10 above normal at 1.63 inches. Grand Junction actually came in above normal with 0.14 inches above normal precipitation for a total of 0.94 for the month. And then unfortunately Vernal is at the bottom again. At least they did better than only getting a trace, because that has happened in the last couple of months, but they ended up with just 0.2 of an inch, which is a little over half an inch below normal. So while Colorado did really well as far as precipitation is concerned, eastern Utah not so hot, kind of missing out on a lot of that precipitation. Moving into our drought update, actually a little bit of good news. The Uinta Mountains and portions of the lower elevations in northeast Utah, drought-free. Northwest Colorado, drought-free. Northern and central Colorado mountains, drought-free. Good news. We still have a pocket of moderate drought here and moderate drought along our southern border, with the rest of the area being under abnormally dry conditions. Now, I say this in every video, so if you've watched this, I sound like a broken record and I'm sorry, but for anybody who's seeing this for the first time, this D0 abnormally dry category does not actually count as drought for the purpose of the drought tendency map. I like to think of the abnormally dry conditions kind of in the same way I think of a watch for any sort of weather event. Conditions are right for the drought to worsen, but it also wouldn't take a lot for the drought to improve, so it's kind of that limbo area where it could go either direction. And then as far as the drought tendency outlook, the areas where we do have that D1 category, they are saying drought persisting, although I don't necessarily know how much I agree with that, having seen the latest drought monitor update that came out this week. This is actually from the beginning of April, because they have actually significantly cut back on some of this, the D1 here, and some of the abnormally dry conditions. So I guess we'll just have to see how the rest of the month of April goes as to whether or not this will actually pan out. Moving into our snowpack update. Relatively good news. We're sitting at generally near normal for most of our basins, if not above normal. So looking at our 3 of our 4 western Colorado basins, the San Miguel, Dolores, Animas, and San Juan Basin, Gunnison Basin, Colorado Headwaters Basin, sitting at 100 to 110% of normal, so near to slightly above normal, with the Yampa White and Little Snake at in the 110 to 120% of normal category, with 113% of normal. That makes sense. The northern mountains have been doing better just kind of generally this year. Which is interesting because it is technically an El Nino year, and typically that favors the southern mountains, but then again last year was technically a La Nina year and it definitely favored the southern mountains. So again, there's a lot more going on in climate land than just a handful of teleconnections that we understand really well. So while El Nino and La Nina can give us an idea, it doesn't always pan out the way we think it will. So that's where we stand as of the end of March for Colorado. Looking at eastern Utah, actually doing quite well, despite the fact that there's still moderate drought in this area. Northeastern Uinta is 120 to 130% of normal. Same thing with the Duchesne Basin. Southeastern Utah is at let me rephrase that. Northeastern Uinta is at 120 to 130% of normal. Duchesne and southeastern Utah in the 130 to 140% of normal. So despite the fact that like in Canyonlands and Vernal not doing so hot on the liquid precipitation, as far as snowpack is concerned, eastern Utah is doing quite well. So the mountains are kind of getting in on that moisture, but the lower elevations not so much. So that's where we stand with that. And then taking a quick look at our April 2024 outlook. As far as temperatures are concerned, the Climate Prediction Center is favoring equal chances of above or below normal temperatures. And then looking at our precipitation, the majority of eastern Utah and western Colorado looking at a slight tendency towards above normal precipitation. So we're looking at 33 to 40% probability of seeing above normal precipitation, while some portions along the divide are looking at equal chances of above or below normal precipitation. And that's it for your March summary. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all again in a couple of weeks with the April summary. Hope you have a good day. Thanks, everybody.